Okay, we'll now make a start. It's 3 minutes past. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining today's session. Session specifically discussing the Google Squared Online certification. And the purpose of today's session really is to give you a full overview of the program, how it works, go into a little bit more detail on the learner journey and syllabus as well. And hopefully by the end of today's session, you'll have more of an understanding of the course and the program. Now, in terms of the people that have attended today, I believe we've got a mixture of people that have already applied and expressed an interest into the program and are looking to start in September. I think we've got others that are thinking about it and trying to determine whether or not it's the right course for them or the colleagues. So I think we've got a mixture of different people joining today. So as I said, we've got an agenda, just kind of really giving an overview of the program. What I'm more than happy to do as I'm going through today's presentation, if you've got any questions, I'm happy for you to take yourselves off mute or put a question into the chat box. I'm happy to be interrupted and to have a conversation. It can be quite, I think, tiresome listening to a northern broad accent for half an hour or so. So I'm happy to for it to be a flowing conversation if there's any questions that do pop up, but hopefully we'll be able to kind of answer everything that's on your mind today. So as a very short introduction, myself, Carl, so I'm client director at Avado Learning. I've been with the organisation now for over 6 years. I've been working closely with the Digital Greenhouse Guernsey for almost 18 months now across a variety of different learning initiatives, one of them being the Google Squared Online certification. So yeah, I've previously worked in L&D for, well, overall now for about 15 years across a variety of different sectors. So that's just a very short introduction about me, and I'll move on now to the next slide. So just to recap the agenda for today, so we'll go through what is the qualification, who is it for in terms of the audience and the type of different people that we have enrolling onto the program, the learning outcomes and a recap of an overview of the program, and then next steps if you are interested, how to apply and what those next steps entail. But just before I do jump on to what is the qualification, one of the things that we're finding across different organisations, not just based within Guernsey, but globally as well, that some of the challenges that some organisations face when it comes to digital marketing, so some of the problems that we come across in kind of day-to-day conversations with different businesses, and how really the Squared Online can kind of address some of those challenges. So we often find that some organisations will find that the marketing is traditional, so they'll maybe still have that traditional approach to marketing. So it's a case of how can we upskill and how can we get our business or organisation, our department and individuals competent in the digital world, within digital marketing. We find that there's sometimes skills gaps within the marketing team. So it might be that they maybe fallen into that role and become what we call accidental experts. So they've not necessarily had any formal training or any formal qualifications, but they might have had a few years experience in the role, and they've had no formal training to support them in what they're doing. So quite often we'll have those skill gaps that we find within certain marketing teams. Another challenge that we find is that organisations want to be able to use different platforms and technologies and understand a little bit more what other organisations are, what the trends are. So it's an opportunity for those individuals to find out more about kind of what platforms are effective and, let's say, what the emerging technologies are. We often find that organisations want to bring that marketing in-house, so it might be that it's outsourced at the moment, but they want to develop the skills capability internally to manage the marketing and have more control of that. So we often find that this course and programme can help kind of build those skills to then bring in the marketing in-house and, as I say, have that greater control, and obviously a lot of benefits to doing that, cost being one of them. Want to have someone that will maximise campaigns and manage the process effectively. So again, the programme will focus on people who can kind of maximise learning campaign, how to make the most of your content, how to reach your audience, all of those things that to manage successful marketing campaigns. And part of the program as well is to create creative thinkers within the team. So try and derive that innovative kind of culture and that approach and that mindset. So it builds on those leadership skills, I should say, and how you can create that that kind of creative culture within a team or within a department, and how you can drive that as a marketing leader. So it might be that some of these challenges, one or maybe a few challenges with it, what you see on the slide today, kind of resonate with you as an organisation. But that's just to give, I suppose, an example and set the scene as to why organisations come to Avado to try and help with some of these challenges. So what is the programme? So there's a lot of text in here. I won't read it all out, but in a nutshell, it's a digital marketing leadership course that has been developed with Google and is powered by ourselves. So the program itself is certified with Google. It's a globally recognized qualification. So we have people all around the world enrolling onto this qualification. As I say, it is globally recognized. It's not just a UK qualification, for example. The program itself is delivered over a 5-month period, and you've got industry experts, guest speakers that are involved. So people that have worked and currently work at Google, people that lead their digital marketing across different organizations. And it's effectively looking to develop, or one of the benefits is that it's looking to develop leadership skills so you can drive that change and kind of drive that culture, as I mentioned before. So it really focuses on those leadership skills, how to develop them within the world of digital marketing, as well as building on kind of the fundamentals and the infrastructure of that as well. A common trend that we find is, as you can imagine, within digital technology, constantly changing, different platforms, different approaches, all of those things. So we have the curriculum that's regularly updated, and it looks at, as I say, industry trends, what organisations are doing, presenting external case studies, some of the challenges that might face, some of the opportunities it might present as well. So it really looks at kind of how to drive innovative technologies across the department. It's a hands-on learning environment. So as part of the programme, and I'll go into a little bit more detail progress today, but there's an approach of certain elements where it's kind of self-supported learning, and you need that motivation yourself. There's also an opportunity to collaborate with different peers, and that's not necessarily just with people from Guernsey. It's people from other digital marketing departments across the globe, really. So we have people that will be on this open cohort from different organisations, from different continents, and it's a case of, for some of the projects and some of the modules that you'll be working on, it'll be working with those peers, working with your fellow learners to then work on those projects and put some of those marketing skills into practice. And at the end of the programme, what we're aiming for is that you're equipped to take forward an action plan that can optimise your marketing within the department, and as I mentioned before, to drive that change. And at the end of the 5-month programme, you're in a position where you're more upskilled and can hopefully put your organisation into a kind of a better position to drive your digital marketing strategy. There's some key points at the bottom, which I mentioned. So it's 5 to 6 months programme. It's about 5.5 if we're going to be exact. There's 5 modules, and I'll go into detail on those modules in a second. And in terms of time commitment, we say that you'll need approximately 4 to 6 hours a week. So that will be the amount of time that's needed on average across the 5-month period. So who's it for in terms of the audience? We often find there's 3 components that we find. So it'd be marketers that have got specialist skills. So it'd be looking at how they can understand marketing a little bit more broadly, how they can work with other departments, because quite often we find that marketing departments can sometimes operate a little bit separately to the rest of the organisation. So it's about how you can break down those barriers and how you can liaise and speak and include and work collaboratively with others as well. And it's to kind of broaden that skill set. And to think kind of, and keep mentioning the word being innovative, kind of having that creative thinking and thinking about your current approach to digital marketing and assessing whether or not it's working, and can you change it? Things that are working well, can you influence changes? So it's kind of looking at it from a wider strategic point of view as well. So we're looking at if you've got marketers that do have specialist skills, they will or they do enroll onto the program, and they still get kind of benefit from it as well, because there's a kind of a wider skill piece that they can pick up on throughout the whole program. We find that it's useful as well for future leaders within marketing. So you might have someone that, let's say, maybe had 1 or 2 years experience. It's an opportunity for them to gain those leadership skills. They might be potentially in a junior role, and just conscious of just mentioning the junior role there. It really is a broad audience for this program. So you do have future leaders, you do have traditional marketers, people that are experienced marketing managers. You really do have kind of a broad landscape for people that are enrolling onto this program. So I'm conscious when I do mention junior roles, that is right. People can enroll onto this, and it can develop the skills and, as I said, develop them into future leaders within marketing. But it's not exclusively for junior people as well. As I say, we've had people that maybe been working in marketing for 10 to 15 years and have still gained value from the program, you know, with kind of the different approaches that are being taken and being adopted kind of every year, or less than that actually. We'll find that the curriculum and, as I mentioned before, the technologies, all these things are constantly changing. So we try and make sure that it's at the cutting edge as possible. As I mentioned before as well, you've got your experienced traditional marketers as well. So it might be individuals that have primarily focused on traditional kind of paper-based marketing, and they get into grips with the digital world. So it's an opportunity for them to kind of take on still some of those principles that they've learned as part of that traditional marketer, but how they can enhance the skills and drive things forward. Another layer to this, which actually isn't mentioned in here. So it might be that you're a smaller organisation in terms of headcount, and you don't necessarily have a marketing department. So you're solely responsible for driving that digital marketing campaigns or updating your social media, for example. So we have people that, if you're looking after your marketing strategy or you're updating the content, and you're not necessarily classed as a traditional marketer, we've also found people enrolling onto the course in that situation as well. So you might be looking at this and thinking, actually, I don't fit into any of these categories. I'm working in an operations role at the moment, just picking an example, but my role is to monitor, manage our marketing, our social media, all of those things. Then this course can help you kind of enhance those skills and drive that forward as well. So just bear in mind that if you don't fall into any of these categories that you see here, there's still a very good chance, if you're heavily involved in your marketing, that you'll get benefit from this program. For some of the outcomes, some of them I've actually talked about a little bit so far. I suppose the key learning outcomes and some of the ones that we commonly see across different organisations. I mentioned before about looking at strategy and proposing new ideas that can help marketers respond to different digital trends. So that's something that we try and build into the program, and like to see the impact that it has following attendance of the course. How you can integrate different technology into your marketing strategies. So it's about kind of looking at your customers, looking how you can reach them at the right time, understanding a little bit more about their story and your customer's journey as well. Because part of digital marketing is making sure that you do reach those people at that right time. So it focuses on that and how you can, as I say, integrate that tech into your marketing strategies. So it looks at creating customer-centric ways to engage with your audiences. So a little bit to what I've mentioned earlier, that trying to find out what's the best way to approach your customers. Is it through social media channels? Is it through kind of tailored campaigns? Shares external case studies as well, so what's worked well and what hasn't worked well in this aspect, but very much looks at have that real customer centricity approach. You'll be able to be in a position where you can recommend strategies that enable your organization to adopt and take on kind of new emerging technologies as well. So as I mentioned before, it kind of shares external examples of tech and things that are working well, and kind of some of the focus on what platforms are working and how you can actually use that technology to reach your audience. And one of the modules, I've got the modules on the next slide, just in case you're wondering, but one of the modules focuses on data. So it's how you can use that data to kind of, I suppose, impact your business and make the important decisions. So it's how you can use that data to target your customers in the right way and help them become, ambassadors for the organisation. So it looks at how you can use that customer data in an effective way, because as I'm sure you'll know, there's more than ever now, we've got access to tons and tons of different data, but unless you're using that in the right way or an effective way, it's in a way pointless having that unless you're using it to its maximum impact. So it looks at how you can use that customer data. So hopefully you'll be able, or the individual enrolling onto the course will be able to take away these outcomes and then implement them and embed them within their job role and their organisation. I'll just take a very brief break just to see if there's any questions. Conscious I've been speaking a lot for the last 15 to 20 minutes. If there's silence or nothing in the chat box, I'll continue. Brilliant. So I'll continue, and this focuses on the 5 modules which I mentioned earlier. So you can see the titles across the top here. So you've got embracing change, customer centricity, digital channels and technologies, data analytics and insights, and then creating change. So these are the 5 modules which the individual will be studying on the programme. You can see the assessment. So you can see for 4 out of those 5 modules, you've got a group project, and that's where you'll be working with different people from different organisations. So it's an opportunity to share good practice with them and adopt kind of good ideas, hopefully. We're very keen on the programme being collaborative, and even though it is delivered online, you still have that kind of peer experience, which is really important. There'll be group projects which you'll be working on, and then there'll be an individual online assessment for module 4. So there's no exams that you'll need to take. It's all on submitting a group project. So as part of the time that you'll spend, you'll be working with your group to kind of implement a campaign or whatever it may be. But effectively, you'll be working with your group to kind of divvy out those tasks and work together on that group project. Other than module 4, as I say, where you've got that individual online assessment. You can see a little bit more on the focus and the syllabus of the modules. I won't read them all out, but you can see a little bit more about what each module will focus on in these sections here. So you can find out a little bit more detail on that. And then some of the I suppose the mindset from a leadership point of view are here at the bottom. So how we tie leadership into each of these topic areas. That provides just a little bit more of an overview. We will be sharing these slides afterwards, so you can have a look at these. But that just hopefully gives you more of an understanding. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to jump out of the slides and share with you an example learner journey, because quite often I'll get asked the question of what does the schedule look like. So we actually started, just as an FYI, we started a cohort with Guernsey in September last year. Pleased to say that they completed in March, April time this year as well. So the schedule that I have bear in mind the dates will be reflective of September last year. The dates will be different for you, of course, but I just think it helps understand a little bit more of what the structure looks like within each of the modules. So just bear with me 1 second. Please do shout out if you can't see the screen. Hopefully, I think I've shared my screen so I can kind of go through the different programs, but if there's any problems with not having visibility, just let me know. So as I mentioned, this is for the cohort that started in September last year, so this isn't specific for the one that's starting in September this year, but like I said, it'll give you an idea of what the schedule would look like for your particular program. So you would have, usually a week after you've started, you would have a getting started live class, which are delivered at these times, 12 and 7. You don't have to attend both of those times. The reason why we have kind of 2 different classes running for each of the live classes is simply because of the time zones. As I mentioned earlier, we deliver globally. So just give people an opportunity to attend one of them depending on their workloads and where they are in the world. But yeah, you would have a get started section that will just kind of give you the basics around the learning campus and kind of gives you the key bits of information that you need. And then the real learning will start a week after. So you would start your first module, Embracing Change. And as you can see, each week we'll focus on a particular subtopic. So the first one being digital disruption and marketing transformation. Then you'll move on to changes in tech and consumer behavior and so forth. So you'll have each learning week will be focusing on a particular subtopic of, in this example, of embracing change. As I mentioned, you'll have your live classes. These are normally about 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours max. These will be live classes that will be asking you to attend. If you can't attend the live class, it's not a problem because the session itself is uploaded, well, first of all recorded, and then uploaded to the campus so you can watch that back in your own time. So it's not too much of an issue if you did miss the live class. And then you would work your way through the learning weeks, work with your group, and then submit. In this example, bear in mind your dates will be changing for this year's cohort, but in this example, your assessment then will be due on the 23rd of October. And then the week after, you then jump onto the next module. So it is a continuous learning journey. You'll finish Unit 1 and then jump straight onto Unit 2 the week after. And again, it will follow the exact same format of week 1, looking at a subtopic, week 2, then focusing on the next topic. You'll have your live classes to support you. You'll have your online learning campus, which you'll have access to once you start on the program. That will break it down into each of these learning weeks and give you a variety of different tasks and activities that you can take on board, which then gives you the knowledge that you need in those relative topics as well. So yeah, I just thought it'd be good just to share that as an example of what the actual study schedule would look like. What would happen if you did enroll at the beginning of the program? You would receive your own course schedule. So you'll know full well for the 5 to 6 month period exactly what modules you'll be covering, when you'll be starting them, and when your assessments will be due as well. So yeah, you'll receive your own schedule once you start on the program. So hopefully that helps kind of picture it a little bit more. What I would encourage as well, if you do know anyone that's been on this cohort, well, I said this cohort that started last year, which have now finished. If you do know anyone within the Guernsey network that's been on it, I would advise to speak to them, kind of speak to them about their experience, how they managed the time, how they've found it, the impact it's had, all of kind of those key questions really, because I think I can of course talk about it and let you know and give you the finer detail, but I think actually hearing the learners talk about it and them sharing their experience will probably be or potentially be of more value. So I would advise that if you do know anyone within your network that's been on the course, feel free to speak to them and ask them to share their experiences as well. So I'll just jump back to the slides. So just kind of coming towards the end of the presentation today, but a few things to consider. So if you're a learning and development lead within your organisation and you're thinking of someone that could benefit from them, so can you support the individual? There's not a mandatory requirement where they need to do it within work time, but I suppose it's from a line manager or a learning and development manager point of view is being aware that they'll be on this journey, being aware of what they're going to be studying, when they're going to be studying it as well. So I think from an employer's perspective, it's like I said, they don't have to do the studying technically in work time, but I think it's just good to be aware of that this is what they're doing, which could then hopefully benefit them within their job role and hopefully benefit the organisation as well. And it's assessing, is there anyone within your organisation currently that could benefit, to someone that meets the criteria which I talked about earlier? Is there anyone that could kind of benefit and get those skills that are required within digital marketing, and is it something that they can drive forward? From a learner's perspective, kind of putting the time commitments, I mentioned that kind of 4 to 6 hours a week. So I'm in a position where is the infrastructure in place from a personal point of view? Do I have that time to be able to dedicate to it? So it's just considering, I suppose, that question before taking things forward. And will it be challenging? So do you feel you'll get value from the program? The topics that are being covered, is it things that you feel you'll benefit from? Will you be learning new skills? So yeah, I think that's definitely important to consider. Do you feel that it's at your kind of right level? Will it be challenging? So that's definitely an important thing to consider. Of will it give you value in your current and your kind of future prospects as well? And in terms of next steps, if you are interested and you haven't already made an application, you can contact the Digital Greenhouse or me and then complete an application. What we'll be doing after today's session is summarising those next steps and a link to where you can actually make an application if you haven't done so already. We'll also be sharing these slides as well, so you can have a look through that. And then what we'll do once an application has been completed, we'll assess the eligibility and hopefully be in a position where we can confirm a place. And we are looking at a start date of the 6th of September to begin this cohort. You can just see we've had a question pop up in the Q&A. So it's from Nikki. In module 3, do you go through social media channels and how to use them effectively? Yeah, we do. So we look at what particular channels work well for kind of different campaigns, depending on the audience that you're looking to reach. Looks at what the objectives that you're looking to achieve from it as well, because it could be part of kind of a longer term strategy, it could be a shorter term strategy, it could be to sell some of your products, it could be to create brand ambassadors. So it looks at kind of all those different things that, depending on what you're looking to achieve with that particular kind of content, what channels tend to work and what don't. It looks at things like, as you can imagine, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all those things. It kind of looks at the audience that you're looking to target and how you can kind of best achieve that using real life case studies. Does that answer your question, Nikki, hopefully? Brilliant, thank you. Just jumping back then to the slides. So as I said, next steps, complete an application if you haven't done so already. We'll assess it, hopefully be able to confirm a place, and then we'll look to get you started on the 6th of September. So what will happen if once a place, or hopefully a place has been confirmed, we'll then send you a link to the online campus. You would register on there, and then, as I say, your learning experience would start on that particular date. And then just a couple of external quotes that I've seen from kind of different channels and different articles. I won't read each of the quotes out, but one of the things that personally resonates with me is the top one, where it looks at saying like marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but it's about the stories you tell. So a trend that we are seeing that it's with products, with different services, it's kind of telling a story. Now you'll probably see a lot of advertising campaigns, whether it's online or whether it's even kind of TV or whatever it may be, you do see a story attached to that particular customer. that's a particular trend that we're seeing. But I just think this emphasises, I suppose, some of the trends in digital marketing now, and kind of some of the important aspects of it. But like I said, I won't read them all out. And then just to end, this is just from an Avado perspective. So this shows some of the organisations that we're working or have worked with and currently working with at the minute. So you can see we've worked with a variety of different organisations. So just in case you're wondering kind of who Avado are, if you haven't heard of us, or a little bit on our background. So we've delivered a variety of different learning solutions with these organisations across different sectors as well. So just to add some kind of credibility to what we do. And that really concludes today. Hopefully it's helped you understand a little bit more about the programme, how it works, kind of the key bits of information. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to take yourself off mute or put some questions in the chat or the Q&A section. I'll be happy to take them forward. So yeah, a few seconds just to see if anyone's got any questions. I think one has just popped up. Just give me 1 second. Someone's asked, do we stay in the same study groups throughout the course? Yes, is the answer to that. So you'll have a variety of different people starting the course at the same time in September, and they'll all be part of that group, that cohort that will then be going through the whole program together. So yeah, you'll have kind of the same people that you start the course with, you'll be ending the course with them as well. Anything else from anybody? If there isn't any further questions, feel free to jump off. As I said, we'll be summarising. Oh, sorry, just another question that comes up. Do we get results from each module as we go along? Yes, yeah. So you'll get feedback once you've completed module 1, usually within, I think it's 2 weeks of submitting your assessment or submitting your project. You'll then get feedback and you'll get a result. So hopefully, and in most cases, people pass. So you'll get results. So you'll know module 1, you've passed, and then as you submit module 2 project, within a couple of weeks of submitting that, you'll then get feedback on that. That might lead to the question of what happens if I don't pass the module. And what happens then is that you'll get feedback from your tutor as a group. You'll talk about points that you need to address. So you'll get very, very detailed feedback on the bits that you need to cover. And then you'll have a further couple of weeks to make those amendments. So if you don't pass a module first time, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that you can't pass the course. It just means that you'll have potentially a couple of amendments to make. But going back to the original question, you'll get feedback as and when you progress through each module. So yeah, if there's no further questions, I will stay on for another minute or so. So if anyone wants to stop behind and ask, feel free. But if there's no further questions from anybody, feel free to leave the call. You have 23 minutes back. And hopefully we'll see some, if not all of you, enrolling onto the course in September.